What's up YouTube, Brian here back again with another high-end rod review, and today we're looking at this bad boy, the Megabass US Destroyer 711 Warhammer. Now, I'm sorry I got to keep doing reviews on discontinued rods. I have a bunch of the USA Destroyer rods and I really love most of them. And so I'm going to keep pumping out reviews. Like I'm going to be talking about the Felissa pretty soon. So I apologize for doing rod reviews on rods that are discontinued and you can't really buy, but this rod does pop up on the aftermarket once in a while, and I know a lot of people that own this rod probably want to see me talk about it for a few minutes. So let's talk about the Megabass US Destroyer Warhammer. Now, when you think flippin' sticks and heavy cover and bottom contact, you do not think Megabass. Megabass is not, this type of rod, in my opinion, isn't really in their wheelhouse. They had to come out with the US version of Destroyers before they came out with like a proper flippin' stick. Now, this is a 711, this is an 8.5 power, and this rod weighs at about like 6.4 ounces. So it's not super heavy. It is very tip heavy, and we'll get over that in a second, but weight-wise, this rod feels great. It's not super heavy for a flippin' stick. There are lighter flippin' sticks out there. That's great, but there's also heavier ones. Now, I flipped this rod mostly all season with a Megabass Tatula Elite Pitch Flip reel, which is a fantastic reel. I have that reel. I just moved it over to the Steez 711, which I'll talk about in a second. But I flipped it with 50-pound braid, and I flipped usually between a ½ ounce, 3/4, and a full ounce on this rod, and it handled all the weights spectacularly, especially the 3/4. That was probably my favorite. I had the 3/4 tied on most of the time. Every once in a while I bump up to an ounce. So for flipping those like that ½ ounce to maybe even an 1.25 ounces, this rod can 100% handle it. I will say that the balance point on this rod, I used a piece of tape here without a reel on it. I'm going to do the finger test because this thing is tip heavy. Now the reason this rod is tip heavy is because this sucker has double-footed guides all the way up the blank. Now if you ever pick up a Megabass rod and you see that it's got double-footed guides up the blank, you know that this rod is built for heavy duty. Megabass only does the double-footed guides up on these big heavy action rods, like mostly, sorry I'm getting meeting invites, but it's mostly swim bait rods. You'll see this on a lot of their big swim bait rods. So you got these heavy duty titanium SIC, I think they're titanium. Yeah, I'm gonna guess they are. Honestly, I didn't look, but I'm going to assume they're titanium SIC guides going all the way, because that's what all the Destroyers are, going all the way up to the tip. Now let's talk about the action real quick. Now the tip on this for a flipping stick for an 8.5 power is pretty soft. If you can see that right there, there is a little bit of flex in that tip. I'm pushing down pretty hard, but it is there. And when you're flipping a heavy weight and you set the hook on like a 2, 3, 4 pound fish in lily pads, having this little extra tip flex is a very good thing. You do not want a really heavy broomstick for most of your flipping activities. So I will say the action on this for a flipping stick is just on point. Totally right. This rod is really tip heavy because of this guide train. This guide train, when you do these heavy duty, really thickly wrapped double-footed guides up the blank, it's going to be tip heavy unless you counterweight it on the back, which I'm pretty sure they did not do on this rod. Let's talk about the handle real quick. So the handle on this thing is this double cork thing where you got this piece up on the front and then you got this piece on the back. Now, I will say that I don't like this cork configuration because this piece is independent from this piece. So in this piece, I already feel it flexing and moving a little bit. So when I'm pitching and making casts, when I got a good tight grip on this piece of the cork, I can feel it wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So that's kind of annoying. That's the one thing I don't really like about this grip. So when you're making cast and pitch, my bottom half of my hand hits this part of the grip, and then I can feel it twist and move. So I'm guessing this is just kept on with some glue, and like in most things with Megabass, the glue that they use, I don't know why it doesn't always hold. It doesn't always hold. It kind of breaks loose and loosens up a little bit. So I kind of wish this whole handle was just one single piece. So if they do ever re-release this rod in like a P5 or a different format, I hope they do a different type of grip configuration for the cork just to eliminate that little slidey piece. That'd be great. The reel handle itself is super comfortable. My lock nut on this thing is still functioning. The cosmetic cap hasn't come off yet. So overall, really great flipping stick. The sensitivity is pretty good. I mean, when you're flipping 50-pound braid with a 1 ounce weight into some cover, you're gonna feel the fish. Like when a fish hits it, you're getting that jiggle, you're feeling that da, 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 da. So I had no problems detecting bites with this rod whatsoever. I can't really say the sensitivity was like over the top great or bad, because honestly, like I said, when you're flipping braid with a heavy weight into cover, you almost always can feel the bite. I don't care what. It doesn't really matter if you're using a $200 rod or a $600 rod. You're gonna know when a bass smacks your flipping plastic. So, couple of the negatives with this rod. Number one, breakage. This rod, I've used the crap out of this rod all season, and I haven't. It's still in one piece. But if you talk to most people who've owned a Warhammer, it's just a matter of time when this rod is going to snap. I think Megabass maybe underdid the wall construction on this thing a little bit, because for an 8.5 power, there's a lot of broken Warhammers out in the world. I've read it on forums. I've had people message me when I posted pictures about this. They're like, "Oh, your Warhammer's still in one piece." Mine isn't. I know a good buddy of mine that I fish tournaments with, he picked up a Warhammer used. He used it for like 1 week and then it snapped on a hook set. So just be warned that if you do pick one of these rods up, it might break. I know this one in the Onager or whatever it's called, and the Mark 48, the bigger, heavier U.S. Destroyer rods were known to snap a little bit. They weren't like super, super durable. So I didn't have that problem. I have flipped the crap out of this rod all season. The grip is super nasty and dirty because I had this rod out. This rod definitely rekindled my love for heavy flipping. This is the first proper flipping stick I've had in a couple years. The flipping stick I had before this was one of the gold Daiwa Tatula flipping sticks. It was like a 7.6 extra heavy or something like that. And I really like that rod too. But then I moved to more finesse and spinning rods and started playing around with other stuff, and I didn't use a flipping stick that much. So I ended up selling it, and then I'm like, oh, I really miss flipping. I haven't had a proper flipping rod. So I picked up one of these when they went discounted after they were getting discontinued. So overall, really do like the rod. The downsides are it's tip heavy. Even with a reel on it, it's tip heavy, but it's tip heavy because you're getting these really crazy overbuilt guides. Don't love the grip. I don't like that this cork piece tends to wiggle and move after you've used the rod a bunch. And also the breakage. I mean, this thing, I don't know. I used it all season. It could break at any moment. I take pretty good care of my stuff, but your mileage may vary on the durability of these rods. So that's pretty much all I have to say. But there's been a new contender in this space. So what's interesting is this is the new Steez 711 flipping stick. This is their heavy action flipping stick. It is very similar in specs to the Warhammer. In fact, this thing is the same weight. So this is also like 6.4 ounces. So what's funny is the Steez rod with the AGS carbon fiber guides. Now these guides are only double footed up to the third guide. Once you get to the third guide, it's single footed. So this rod actually weighs the same as the Warhammer, but it has way lighter weight guides, which to me probably means that the blank on the Steez 711 is thicker and got a little more meat to it. Also, the balance point on the Steez is fantastic. The Steez 711 balance point is way better in the hand than the Warhammer. Because of those AGS guides, look at this is a 711, and with the Daiwa Tatula pitch flip reel, the balance point is right at the lock nut. Now, balance point, don't listen to what some people say in the world, like Ben at Hookup Tackle. Balance point, especially on a 711 flipping stick, matters. It does. Because when you're flipping a 1 ounce weight into heavy cover all damn day long, you want to have as little wear and tear on your wrists and shoulders as possible. So I think having a balance point like this is totally preferable on a big heavy flipping stick. Now people might go, oh, balance point doesn't matter. I don't care. To me it does. I'm 40 years old. I want to have as little fatigue and wear and tear on my wrists and shoulders as possible. So when you have a really well balanced flipping stick like the Steez 711, it really does make for a much more enjoyable day fishing, especially when you're committed to a flipping bite on a tournament and you're going to flip for 8 hours straight no matter what. Now, I've only used this rod one time so far, so in comparison to the Warhammer, I can't really say if it's better or worse quite yet. I flipped all day with this rod and I only caught one fish, so I will be doing a full review of the 711 flipping stick from the new Steez AGS coming down the line. So just letting you know that if you can't find this rod and you're looking for a really high-end kind of JDM trick flipping stick, the 711 Steez is now out there and available in the world. Also, there's the big 711 X Pride that I have felt in hand. My buddy Clay got one of those and I got to play with it a little bit in the parking lot. That rod is very similar to this one as far as like feel and balance and everything. So the X-Pride 711 flipping stick, I think it's a 711, I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that, but the X-Pride flipping stick and the Steez flipping stick are great alternatives if you cannot find or don't want to mess with a Warhammer on the aftermarket. So anyway, that's my video review. I might throw in a clip in this video of me setting a hook on a fish with the Warhammer just for entertainment value. But until next time, please follow me on Instagram. I am at Punch Fishing. I throw a lot of content on there that doesn't make the YouTube channel. So hit me up on Instagram. Hit me a like and subscribe if you made it this far in the video. And have fun flipping, my friends. We'll see you on the next video. Dropping on their head and they just snap at it, or there's one, just like that. Come out of there. Oh, he's burying. He's digging in. I got him. He's coming in with the salad. He's so pinned in the grass. Watch, he's like a pound. Yep. May help.
That you's almost 2.
Okay. I get your heart pumping though. Yep. Just because I was nervous I wasn't gonna get him out, because he was way back there. Good job. Good job, Warhammer.